primer.
Defragmented.
Each one of us will throw to the other a scene from the movie, so the other need to synthesize it as a mental would.
Let's begin.
The scene that I have for you is the next. It's a very simple one.
Let's see.
So the two leading characters are in this kind of factory. So they need to process something, a cover for that machine. So they are observing that machine working, like cha 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 cha, making a strong noise. And one of them look at the operator, and he's like, "What's going on?" So he asks the operator, "Shouldn't be wearing goggles?" So the operator reacts like, "Nah." That's it.
All right. Okay.
Like if they were really silly.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think that is an innocent scene at all. What's going on, I believe, is the following. Usually, technical processes, as we understand them, depend on very parametrical and precise instructions. But what is interesting about those procedures that are very technical is that once humans get used to them, they don't treat them at the end as these parametrical processes themselves. It's like you get so used to the parametrical that you imbue or instill your laxitude into the system, so to say. So in a way, there is this humanity that still arises in the middle of the parametrical, so as to remind ourselves that humanity is more than mere instructions.
Interesting. So what did it call my attention because of that?
I think it's that is what you would expect from an engineer to follow instructions. Yeah, engineers as the masterminds behind projects, but the technician that's manipulating the machine under the orders of the master, that is the engineer, I think that has a right to not fall for those, asphyxiating instructions and just do whatever he feels like doing. Yeah.
All
So,
right.
it's more like a slave rising against his or her master.
Cool. So mental mode.
All right. So my turn. I would like to mention from the very beginning, I think probably this is the first scene of the movie. And we see that there is this voice in off that's already telling us what's about to happen. And what is interesting is that the voice in off takes place as they are showing us inside of a garage. So there is at the same time externality and an inner dimension to the movie. So big things happen within, and those big things that happen within reflect outside. So I was wondering for a moment what is the meaning of that even if you get to play with the most fundamental laws of physics, which is kind of like the inner most central or nuclear part of the universe, what happens outside? Once you play with the laws within, what happens outside of them?
We're talking about here oneness. That is what it's above, it's below. What is to the right is to the left. Even when you are at the center of something, you are outside, because everything depends on everything. You cannot take things apart. So that is why you saw that in the film, that externality, internality, because they were telling you that, look, what is so small at the same time is so big. Now my turn.
That is your turn. Very nice.
All right. There is this scene in which the two leading characters again are having a conversation and I guess eating something outside a big building, right? And one of them already knew what was about to happen. So he was kind of like leading the other, like not to get so surprised what he was about to see. There is a take of those two leading characters, but a take that was really special at that moment because normally they were filmed in a very like asphyxiating frame, yeah, really close, so close-ups. But then when they were talking and one of them was expecting the other to see something, there was a long distance take, like if someone was observing them. And I thought, geez, this is getting better and better. But then, like, I don't know, like 4 sequences later, I was extremely disappointed because I was thinking that one of the observers, that the person that was observing them was one of them. Instead, there was a random guy there that appeared out of nowhere. It was like a Deus Ex Machina or something. Man,
Right.
I don't know. Mentat, help me there.
Okay, I'll try my best. So there is something that this philosopher Gilles Deleuze used to say about cinema, and it's more like is the eye seeing itself. It's the experience experiencing itself, so to say. So I think that there is this play also there because if at the end of the day you're playing with time and therefore you're playing with space, so the spectator spectating the game of time and space has to at one point also become part of the game. So I think it has to do with that. The fact that you are disappointed in fact signifies that spectator, that perspective is not in itself fixed, cannot be attributed to one single point, nor in time, nor in space. It's like a moving blank, so to say. And you are that moving blank. You're part of the story, so to say, but you are not. But at the same time, you're observing the observer. You are outside of the game of time and space, and you are experiencing the game from a perspective. Then what is your perspective? And why and how different is your perspective from the perspective of this supposed observer that you supposedly were thinking of? And that kind of like caught your attention. I think it's not innocent at all. I think it kind of like it should remind us that sometimes we fall so much for the narrative that is taking place that we forget to ask ourselves what's the space and what's the time that we are occupying as we watch and as we embrace the story. So I would say, yeah, just take it with a whisk of chaos and just enjoy that uncertainty.
All right, I will enjoy it. So, mental mode.
Okay, I would like to point out there is something that I believe is really interesting and that has to do with our cognition, to the way we think things. So what I mean by that is that you should recall those scenes in which one of the characters is about to show the other what's going on with time and space. You cannot simply come to a person, even if that is your best friend or your colleague of the person that can trust you the most, and just tell him something that would seem crazy. Yeah? So it's a reflection of what craziness entails. To say something without reason, to say something without a ground. And you remember those scenes before that this character could even tell him that this discovery had arisen. He had to take them to the whole causal chain. First, let's go here, then we go to the lab, then we speak with this expert, then we take a look at this mushroom or this kind of bacteria, that grew in a very specific form. So something that I thought is that how much do we need to follow a specific series of steps so that we can end up not only justifying a belief but believing a belief. You know what I mean? It's not like you tell me something and I just take it as it is, even if you're the most trustable person. No, it's like deep inside of me, I always need this connection of events that convinces me that something is the case. So even for scientists, or I think because of them being scientists, you require this specific series of steps. Yeah, it's like you need to follow the thread through the labyrinth before accepting getting lost in it. Right? Shoot.
Well, as flat as that, in a simple word, you're talking about empathy. When I'm telling somebody something that is really shocking, I need to feel empathy for that person. So that is why this character was kind of leading the other through these steps. Not in a extremely scientific way, but in a way he thought the other person would, without much, suffering, so to say, assimilate things. So this person was really, he was caring about the other. On the surface, maybe you saw something like really scientific, but underneath, there was humanity.
All right. Well, that really blows my mind, Hex. Cannot lie to you. Wasn't expecting that answer. Yeah. Food for thought, most definitely.
All right, so, man, my turn.
Go ahead.
Well, more than a scene meant that was the fact that when I realized that this movie was filmed, written, produced, edited by this Carruth, I think his name is Alex Carruth, and I thought, oh man, we are in trouble here, because I had experience watching other films from him. So I was like, oh no, this will hurt. And believe me, it was like I locked up myself. No distractions at all, like trying to get rid of everything that could distract me and biased me, because I said, oh, come on, really? I didn't know he was the director. Yeah, so we were in trouble.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the effects that certain minds, can have on us. I didn't know about the director until I finished watching the movie, and afterwards I looked for information about him. But I think that from the very beginning, from the very first scene, I felt that what was coming was not going to be at all typical. And the way he plays with the dialogue, with the characters, with space and time, kind of like suggests a control that, what is interesting is that precisely he stars in the movie. And precisely, look at this, there is this kind of like double tension between the director that controls everything, from the script to the cameras to the music to the dialogues to the performance, with the main character that in a way was so obsessed with control that he had to just fuck it all up so that he could return to that party, and that he could deter this person and just kind of like bring him down, and so on and so forth. I think there is in a way in which the director becomes transparent in the movie. The being of the director is translucent through the character that he represents inside the movie. So in a way, it's like by watching the movie, we have this direct access into the way the director feels and sees. So maybe in a way that created that effect of you wanting to, restrict yourself sensorially so that you could take advantage of the movie and not miss any detail. So that's what happens when you have these kind of like chirurgical minds. They contaminate you.
Okay. So let me be a mentor.
Yeah, all right. I would like to maybe just ask you a question more than describe a scene. And this question has to do with the backup. Do you remember that they created this backup chamber with these backup machines, so that they could use them in case of Y or X or Z would happen, yeah? And my question has to do with which kind of instinct or which kind of impulse is there to begin with, that even when you are about to play with the most fundamental things, there is something inside of you that tells you something might go wrong. So you do something before you get to play with before and after. It's like you are acting with advance. You're acting in advance of confronting the past, the present, and the future. It's like you can play in time with time. So that's how I took that specific a moment of the movie, in which you realize they created these extra chambers. So I wanted to ask you, how do you assimilate that? So if you could synthesize that for me, Hex, I would appreciate it.
You're putting me in trouble because I need to throw to you a question. Have you ever wondered if we have been engineered in the way we are so that we can play, as you say, with time? Because the creatures that walk on this planet, apart from us, we think they can't do it, but we can. So are we maybe mirroring what our engineers did to us or with us?
That would make a lot of sense. I believe that every creation has inevitably a part of its creator. And that could take many forms, not only in shape, but also in character and in aptitude and in ability. I would say that definitely, that most definitely there is something about us that reflects the way in which whatever we might want to call our creator is wanted or saw or aspired to do. But anyways, the question stays the same. And it's like, even if we want to translate the question into our engineer, it's what is there in this engineer that functions as a kind of like very instinctive response to specific events. And it's like it's reacting towards something that is so profound that reaction doesn't make any sense. Reaction means cause and effect, right? That is what reaction is. And you're about to play with cause and effect. And then you have this instinct that something can go wrong with playing with cause and effect. So the cause precisely is this game, and the effect is that I'm making a decision before playing with cause and effect. So it's again a very, very crazy game that's going on there, but that happens outside of this chain of events, and it's really instinctive. So it's still the question for me is, where does this impulse? I don't know if that is survival. I don't know if that is fear.
Can it be as simple as saying that it's the fact that we are aware of our potential death, that we will be no longer here, that we prepare things?
I like that answer. I like it, Maybe it is because this definite point in which everything would cease to be. So no present, no past, no future. So you want to maybe circumvent and escape that. Okay. Not bad at all, Hex. Not bad at all.
Wow, I was in mental mode.
Yeah, pretty rocket. If you want to go deeply and explore the underpinnings of a mastermind or of masterminds that are willing to do everything possible to play with the most fundamental things that exist, watch Primer.
If you want to challenge yourself with a film that can dissect your brain and your abilities, watch Primer.